Hi everyone, I'm Dyllan McGee, founder and executive producer of Makers, and welcome to Makers at Home Live. This is my last live Makers at Home conversation as the executive producer of Makers. Tomorrow's my last day. And then I will become a very passionate advisor to Makers forever. And my last one is very special because she is a dear friend, Jennifer Rudolph Walsh. She is a 30-year titan in Hollywood, and it has now gone off and she's created this extraordinary live tour called Together Live, which I'm excited to talk about. And she is a mom, and she is an amazing wife, and she's an extraordinarily passionate storyteller. And oh my God, hi Max. My son just came on for my last live. And she is a new San Francisco transplant, but what we're here for is, dun, 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 I know it's backwards, but Hungry Hearts, essays on courage, desire, and belonging. See, I can read that backwards. It's an amazing, she edited this book, amazing short stories, and we're going to talk to her about that today. So Jennifer, here I come. Get ready. And that's all right, we can do a book dance lots of times so people can see this beautiful book. Hi.
Hi, honey. Oh my gosh, I'm so honored to be with you on your last full day at Makers. And there's just nobody who I'd rather help celebrate. I know you're here to support me, and yeah, we'll get to all of that. But when I heard this was your last full day and your last Instagram Live, it brought tears to my eyes because honestly, I don't know anybody who embodies this spirit of Together Live and Hungry Hearts, the idea that we can make enough room for everybody and that there's more than enough to go around, and somebody who's been at that door, holding it open for women 24/7, making sure that there's room for everybody. So it is my honor and privilege to be with you here today.
All right, and that's a wrap. Thanks, everybody. Jennifer!
Hi, honey.
You're like bringing tears to my eyes. But we're focusing, as you said, on you. And before we get into this book, which I'm going to hold up and many, many times because it's very special and it's one of those ones that you just sort of keep on your bedside, and when you need it, you turn to it. But you created, I'll never forget, you and I had lunch together years ago. Because when was the first Together Live? What year?
2015 or 16.
15 or 16. So before that.
Right.
We sat down and you were like, so I have this idea. And you're like, am I crazy? And I was like, are you crazy? You're brilliant. You're like reinventing something that needs to happen. It's this yearning, people go to concerts and they go to all these different things, but yeah, we need to be together and we need to talk about the sisterhood. And so where did the vision for that come together? And explain to our audience who that was. And I'm supposed to have this post up of who you are at all times. So.
Well, you know what? We don't need that. We can just be ourselves.
Okay.
Pretty soon, you're not going to be Dyllan of Makers, so you'll know what it feels like to just be like, I'm just Jen. In fact, somebody in your office asked for my title, and I said, I think it's storytelling evangelist. I just gave it to myself. It suits me, don't you think? So I had, for many, many years, overseen the book division at William Morris Endeavor. The most incredible sort of job a person could possibly have, if you even want to call it a job. I was paid to learn and be close to storytellers and storytelling. And it was one of the great privileges of my life to find something to do day in and day out that never felt like work for 1 second. And then about, I guess, 6 or 7 years ago, I had the privilege of going on a national tour with my personal hero, Oprah Winfrey, and we co-created something called the Life You Want Tour. We took over arenas around America. We saw over 250,000 people. Before Michelle Obama was becoming, we were taking over arenas, thousands and thousands of hearts all beating as one, and we created the most intimate, incredible experience, even though there were 23,000 people in the room or 25,000 people. And when it ended, I didn't want to go back to a world where I worked with writers who wrote in solitude and people who read in solitude. By the way, I love that. I love that. But something had evolved for me in the idea of hearing stories together, witnessing people's humanity together. And as you pointed out, rock concerts or church, those are two good opportunities to have that collective experience. But if you're not a rock concert person and if you're not a church person, there really isn't an opportunity to have that collective experience. And I long to create that, and to create it in a way where the tickets were low priced enough that everybody could afford to come, and that people would leave, maybe come alone, but leave with a new family, and a family that looked nothing like them. You know, we put a real emphasis on intersectional stories, marginalized voices, and intergenerational people learning from one another. But then COVID hit, and it was time to pivot again. And so Hungry Hearts is the physical manifestation of the spirit of Together Live. It's stories from people that may look nothing like you, people who may be devoted to a different religious belief, who may be on a different place on the gender or sexual spectrum, who may be disabled, who may have a different skin color, but underneath their skin, their stories reveal our great secret, which is that we're more alike than we are different.
And can we just, I want to get into the book because I love it. But I want to
so cute.
For 1 second, because you say you created this family, and a family you did, but what a family. You know, I was talking with our producer before, Kelly, and we were just thinking, like, what does it feel like, you know, to have these people who, you know, maybe people knew of and maybe they didn't. You introduced Makers to so many extraordinary people. I mean, you know, when I think about Milk, I think about Glennon and Abby, I think about Bozema. I mean, all of these people who are on your stage, what does it feel like to watch them all? They've tapped into their passions, and so many have grown in so many different ways.
It was a force multiplier, and it just brings me so much joy. It feels like love, you know? I mean, reflected glory has always been one of these feelings that I think people overlook. And maybe because I became a mom when I was 26 years old, I really kind of, before I was fully formed as an adult, reflected glory became a very big piece of sort of some of my favorite emotions. And for me, there's nothing like seeing somebody step into their full beauty, into their full power. You know, seeing somebody in full bloom is actually, it's actually even more exciting to me than the idea of myself in full bloom, which I also feel like I am. So it's, it feels like love. It feels like maybe even a little maternal love.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. It's like your babies.
They're all my babies.
Awesome. Can we talk about one of the babies? Amanda Gordon.
Oh, I know. I die. I mean, she and I were texting all the days leading up to that, because, you know, now there is somebody that you sit with her and you just know that all shall be well, and all shall be well. All manner of things shall be well.
And how did you meet her, and how did she become part of Together Live?
It's just, you know what, I'm a divining rod for a certain kind of relentless excellence and purpose and authenticity, really. I mean, I think the thing that I would say about everybody that ever stepped on our stage is that they are who they say they are. And that's very important to me. You know, there are a lot of amazing people when the cameras are on, but what made our Traveling Love Rally so special is that we were the same when nobody was watching.
Traveling, what did you call it? You are just a little soundbite machine.
I'm the queen of the cliche. You didn't know that?
Good Lord.
Honey, that's a well-known fact. Look in the birthday book, February 14th. I am the day of the quick quip.
No, you
I came by it honestly.
No, you were not. It's a good skill to have. Well, the word
it's
love.
What I got.
I know. It's so good. And that's what that experience feels like at Together Live. You tap into everyone's strengths, and their passions, right? And that, whether they're Amina Brown, you know, doing her incredible poem on Judy Blume. I mean,
remember that? Oh my God, everybody going insane. I know.
So good. And, you know, so it's spoken word, it's music. I mean, when Connie sings, you
comedy.
just,
I know.
And then you get
Jalise.
Treaty. I mean, follow them, people. I mean,
I know. Warren Treaty. No, Sabrina Jalise, Cameron Esposito. I can still wake up in the middle of the night and just start laughing. Cameron Esposito yelling into the universe, do I like carving spoons? Like after her divorce, and she felt completely with no identity. I mean, I'm telling you, I love them all with my entire heart. I cheer my head off for them daily. Every one of them.
So, okay.
All my babies.
I have a heart theme going on. So why?
Oh, well, I know. Well, I mean, say it again, babe.
Why is it Hungry Hearts?
Well, good, very, very good question, actually.
Okay. Thank you.
Because it comes from the essay that Sue Monk Kidd wrote for us in the collection, which is incredible, called Women on the Loose. But what she talks about at the very core of all of our hearts is a hunger, a longing. And that longing is really felt by everybody who has a beating heart. And it's a longing to be seen, to be loved, to know that we matter. So that Hungry Hearts, we felt really kind of encapsulated what it means to have courage, to have desire, and to want to belong.
Well, I mean, and you touch on so many different phases of life. Like, let's take one of my favorite stories was Lovey.
Lovey's unbelievable.
Right? And she writes this, I mean, you can't believe it's, what, 5 or 6 pages? Because it hits all your emotions.
Totally.
She's getting married, the excitement with that. Then she has this almost breakup with a best.
She has a platonic breakup, which, by the way, nobody talks about. But if you've ever lived through it, it's crushing.
And so here she is. She's got like, she's about to embark on her wedding. And she's like, got this pit in her stomach from the platonic breakup. But then her friends take her on this, you know, bachelorette party, and she's renewed again. So it's like in 6 pages, you get this whole journey of, I read it and I'm like, okay, I've been there. I've had that pit in my stomach.
Totally.
Really, like Bozema losing her husband.
I know. And just waking up and trying to be the love she wants to see in her life. Yes. Maysoon Zaid, the same thing, right? Trying to step into the space where we were told that somebody else was supposed to fill it, and realizing that no, actually, it's self-love that really is the generator of all other things. And whether we're hearing that from the perspective of a young woman finding her way, you know, as Natalie Guerrero and Milk, or whether we're hearing that from somebody who's had more life experience like Tanya or like Bose
or
Cameron. So it's every one of the essays are so unique and so authentic and vulnerable and insightful. And yet you find yourself comparing, you know, elements of a story that have nothing to do with your lived experience with these people. And my favorite story, and I have said it before, but after the first night we did our Hungry Hearts first night virtual tour, which was amazing. And we had an incredible young woman named Nkosi Mabaso join us. And she's somebody that I was introduced to through Oprah, because she was one of the first year of her leadership academy for girls. That first class, she kind of adopted like 8 of these women, and Nkosi was one of them. And her essay is about finding worthiness and overcoming imposter syndrome, because when she was accepted to Oprah's Academy, her life was so far from that place. And I come out of my little den where I am right now, and my husband is waiting for me, and he's bawling. He's like, Nkosi's story. She told my story. And here's my 58-year-old white straight husband hearing his story told through a 20-something Black woman from Africa. And that's the power.
No,
that's the magic medicine.
It's the magic. There she is again. Magic. Like, so what are, you've touched on a lot of these themes, but if there's sort of one takeaway you want people to feel when they finish this book, you know, what is that?
What I want them to realize is that they have a story, and that their story matters. Stories are not just something that happens to other people. And once you begin to understand sort of what your story is about and how all the things that you thought were in the way were actually the way. Once you share that with somebody else and then encourage them to share their stories with you without judgment, just witnessing one another in their full humanity, you're going to learn a kind of intimacy and a kind of being seen that you really, really didn't imagine. And I think we have this story where we tell ourselves that all the truth inside of our story is what's least attractive to people, and that what's most attractive is, you know, winning and succeeding. And I think that when people realize that their brave truths, their scars, their things that they think are the shame, are the things that actually make them most compelling and most magnetic to people.
Oh. Louise just joined, and just so you know, we're with Jennifer Rudolph Walsh. What's your new tagline? Storytelling evangelist?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going with that.
You know, beautiful essays with messages for all of us, universal messages in every single one. So
that's another thing too to say about universal messages is that once you start sharing your like intimate truths, you start finding like the universe just sends you people. Like, you know, you can't believe it, but you were just willing to finally talk about some challenging childhood experience, and maybe something that you're the only person you thought this ever happened to. And then all of a sudden, once you share it, I find that suddenly in your path, you find people who have had similar or related experiences, and the inspiration just keeps flowing. Because I believe that your purpose is always unfolding, whether you're following it or not. But without your story, without the ability to share your unique story, I think you're missing a big piece, a big breadcrumb.
Well, I want to turn that on you and me. Because when you talk about telling your story, I came to you very vulnerable, very nervous about leaving Makers. Am I ever going to survive? Is this my only identity? And you sort of amazingly, having done, you know, in your own new chapter where you are just blossoming, and it's just so fun to hear and see, and I can just feel your calmness just sitting there in San Francisco. You know, you shared with me that it's going to be okay. And it's true. I had to share that and be vulnerable, and then you calmed me down.
Well, what you kept saying to me is, I can't believe you're saying this to me today.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I find all the time is that I can't believe this is happening today. That's the universe giving you a giant God wink and saying, yes, sweetheart, yes, you're on the right track. Just keep going. Just keep opening. Just keep getting softer and more trusting. And so what I said to you was I also had left a career of 30 years. That was very much what I felt was my definition, my identity. And I felt like when I was leaving, I was jumping off a cliff. But when I finally actually left, I realized it was much more like stepping off a curb and a lot less scary than the anticipation of it had been. And that I felt that was the same thing that was going to happen for you. And I understood why you were trying. My dear Maggie just said, try easier, my beloved girl. Yes, exactly. You know, we're so used to trying harder. And it's like, actually, try easier.
Okay.
Actually try the thing that makes you feel good and inspired and seen. And let go of that voice inside of you that says it has to be hard or involve suffering for it to be valuable.
I love it. I'm going to step off the curb.
Well, you know I'm going to stay on you, so you have no choice, right? I
know. Well, I mean, we're already in our 20 minutes, but I'm going to end with one thing with you that's very special to me. It's something we created a few years ago that's called the Makers Minute.
Okay. Wait, before you go to the minute, I have to just say, because so many people are saying they're starting over, and I just have to say this. After 30 years of being one way, I answered a calling to move to San Francisco and walk among the redwoods every day. This is a privilege. I recognize that I was able to make this move. So not everybody needs to be walking in the redwoods, but nature is everywhere. And what I will say is that I took a page out of Cheryl Strayed's book, but I walked my path every single day. I walked it sad. I walked it happy. I walked it tired. I walked it scared. And just like her, my path appeared. And unlike her, hers was wild. My path is called peace. And I've really come to realize that that path is available to everybody. And we just need to calm our nervous systems down. And we need to sort of let go of the identities that we've been locked in and just allow for a new identity to emerge. So, you know, my path is called peace, but there's many, many paths out there, and they're all, I think, uniquely designed for each individual. And I recommend everybody tries it.
Can I hop on the peace path? Or
yes. It's the best. It's the best. It's peace punctuated with sweeping joy. Honestly, if I wasn't so humble about it, I'd be driving people crazy, because I literally no longer report the weather or react to the weather. I am the weather. And it's always sunny. What can I tell you?
Okay. I am the weather.
Right.
Life Rudolph Walsh. We're just going to follow your Instagram show. Wherever you lead us, we'll follow. Okay.
All right. Give me the minutes. What's the minutes question?
I just want your path. I want the peace path. Okay. Here we go. I have, and to this day, Gloria Steinem is the champion of this. So you win, you beat Gloria. That's what I got.
I sincerely doubt it. But you did sit me next to Gloria spontaneously at a Makers event, and that's still top 5 of my whole entire life.
It's something special, that Gloria. All right, here we go, Jennifer. My last Makers at Home live Makers Minute.
Great.
Author of Hungry Hearts. Can she beat Gloria Steinem? Okay, Kelly Matusik, are you ready to time us in a minute? Tell me when to go. Or I may just go and you start the timer. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Best word to describe you.
In transition.
A female who inspires you right now.
You.
Something that makes you hopeful.
The young queens I've seen and the many I haven't met yet, who are living their lives bravely and out loud.
Something that pisses you off.
People who are more concerned with being right than being loving and kind and fair.
Something that you're afraid of.
Right now, I would say I have no fears.
Sunny day every day. If you could be any other woman on earth for one day, who would it be?
I would love to have been my grandmother for one day. She died when my mom was 4.
I love that you said that. It's always like Oprah. But you probably would want to be her for one day too.
No, I love Oprah too.
Okay. Something you wish you did more often.
Something I wish I did more often. Exercise.
Something less.
Something I wish I did less often. Nothing.
Oh my God. Oh, time, honey. Our Makers Minute, and we got to, let's see, we got to 10. Gloria is 16. But you know, it's good to let go win.
You know what, honey? I'm on the peace train. We speak at the temperature we speak, and I will say something I wish I did less often. It's nothing, because you know what? I've had an insight that it's all free time. Even when you're working, you get to choose how you spend your time. So if all the time is free, you get to decide what to allocate what to, and that's it. And this half an hour, it's been spending with you, who I adore. And I just want to say again, Dyllan, you have done more for more people than almost anybody I know. You are so adored. You are such a dear and true and loyal person. And I know I speak for everybody on this phone when we say thank you for everything you've done. And also, we will be cheering our heads off for you and looking to be of service to you in any way we can in your new life of freedom and joy and peace. You got this.
And you got me teary. And all I'll say is just tomorrow, open up that peace path for me.
I will. And everybody, please do order Hungry Hearts and discover all these incredible, incredible women. And afterwards, bravely share your story and encourage somebody else to share theirs, especially with somebody who looks nothing like you. Mwah.
All right.
Love you, sweetheart.
We love you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.